We'll take it. We got the YMCA song going. We got spooky ghost songs going. I don't know. It's a great morning. Great morning. Hey, if you haven't met, my name is Matthew. I'm the lead pastor for Good News Church. It's a pleasure to get to be with you this morning. Hey, real quick, show of hands. Do any of you know, firsthand, like you have a friend, do any of you know someone who's 100 years old or older? Anybody here, like personal relationship with 100? Yes, of course. Yes. Anybody else? See, most of us don't know someone who's 100 years old or older, but they exist. There aren't a lot of them, but there are some. Do you know what you call someone who's 100 years old or older? A centurion. Yeah, not a centurion. They're the guards. A centurion. First service I said, hey, do you know what you call someone 100 years older or older? Someone just yelled out, old. Yeah, great. But you are the cultured group. You are the one that knows. It's a centurion. And there aren't very many of them in the world today. It turns out, though, there is a bunch of them all in one place. There's one place in the world that has more centurions than anywhere else in the world. It's an island off of Italy. And in this one country, in this one island, Sardinia, there are 6 times more centurions than anywhere else in the world. And the question becomes, why? Why do they live there? Is it because of the food? Italian food makes you live longer, I guess. I don't know. Is it because of the sun? Is it because of the ocean breezes? You know, is it genetics? Why there? Why are there more centurions there than anywhere else in the world? And what does it take to be a centurion? And how do you live to be 100 years old? Because I don't know about you, but I want to live to be 100 years old. I think that would be awesome. It turns out it's not diet. It's not exercise. That's good news for me. I might make it. It's not diet. It's not exercise. It's not genes. They say that the number one reason people live to be 100 is because of friendships. Friendships? Does this surprise you? This surprised me when I learned this, that the number one reason that people live so long, the one thing that they can identify in each one of these people's lives is relationships. These folks have better and longer lasting friendships and relationships than the rest of us. It turns out that, and you may already know this, but it turns out that the women on average live about 6 years longer than most men. And it's not because of diet, not because of exercise. Ladies, it's not because your husband lives off of cheeseburgers. That's not why you live longer. It turns out the reason that most women live longer than men is because women are better at building relationships and keeping relationships than men are. I read a statistic once that said that the average man has 2/3 of a friend. The average man has 2/3. You can figure it out. If you can do math, you can figure out where that number comes from. But see, ladies are just better at it than most men. So back to Sardinia. On this one island, the deal is, this one island, all of the shops close every afternoon. And people don't go home and hide and take a nap. People come out to the streets, and they come out to the parks, and they have lunch together, and they make time to be together. And people live longer. And I'm not surprised. Scientific studies and the Bible say the same thing. You are built for relationships. You are built for friendships. You need a relationship with God, and you need relationships with other people. See, friends will affect the length of your life. Having friendships will affect the length of your life. But your friendships will also affect the days of your life, how you live each day of your life. Grab your bulletin, and in the bulletin this morning there are a bunch of fill-in the blanks. I want you to write this down. Who you spend time with today is who you will be tomorrow. Who you spend time with today will affect who you will be tomorrow. Turn to the person next to you and tell them that. Who are you hanging out with? Who are you going to be tomorrow? Go ahead. This is your chance to talk. Go ahead. Talk to somebody else. Yeah, exactly. Grouchy. And this is the deal. If you have grouchy friends, you will become grouchy. You will become like your friends. Let me read this verse for you. Proverbs 13:20 says, "He who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm." So what it's saying is, if you make friends with knuckleheads, you will become a knucklehead. Yeah. If you make friends with someone who is grouchy, like you were saying, or someone who is disappointed or dissatisfied with life, if that's your friend, you will become grouchy and dissatisfied with life. But if your friend is sold out for Jesus, if your friend loves Jesus, you will become someone who honors and loves God too. Now, last Sunday, we launched this new message series. We're going through the life of David. We look at the ups and the downs of his life, and he had plenty of ups and downs. During his life, he was a king. He was a great warrior. He was a poet. He was a writer. But those are all the highs, but he also had all these lows. And today, we're going to look at one of these pieces that's a high and a low for David. And he had some really bad lows. Some of the lows were things that happened to him, and some of the lows were things that he made happen, he caused to happen. He made some really big mistakes. In fact, as we go through the life of David, some of us are going to go, this is just like that soap opera I was watching. I mean, I've seen this before. It was a crazy life that he lived. Our goal today is to learn from David. Our goal for the whole series is to learn from David. We want his biography to shape our autobiographies. We want his life to shape ours. And today I want to introduce you to David's best friend. His name is Jonathan. Everybody say, hey, Jonathan. Jonathan. We're going to meet Jonathan in 1 Samuel, and we're going to start in chapter 14. So grab your Bible, open up your Bible to 1 Samuel chapter 14. If you didn't bring your Bible with you, that's okay. There should be one there at your knees in the pocket in front of you. Or if you have your smartphone with you, you can go to YouVersion, youversion.com. You got the whole Bible right there in your smartphone. We're in 1 Samuel starting in chapter 14. This is in the Old Testament. In the front of every Bible, there's a table of contents to help you find where we're at today. David and Jonathan were the most unlikely pair. Best friends, but the most unlikely pair. Last week, if you were with us, you'll remember that God had chosen David to be the next king. God had chosen David to be the next king. But Jonathan was set up by birth to be the next king. See, Jonathan's father was King Saul. King Saul was the king of Israel. God had chosen David to be the next king, but Jonathan was born the prince of Israel. He should have been the next king. See, these guys should have been good friends. They should have been rivals. They should have been enemies. They should have gone at it, because they both should have been king. Who's going to be king? Well, we're gonna have to find that out. But instead of being enemies, instead of being rivals, they became best friends. And so today we're going to look at David and Jonathan's friendship. We're going to look at four key characteristics of a good model friendship. And then we're going to examine our own friendships this morning. Because like we talked about, relationships are important. They affect the number of our days, but they also affect how we live each day. If you're filling in the blanks, here's level one friend. A level one friend is someone you have something in common with. A level one friend, you have something in common with them. Now, this is easy stuff. This is where all friendship starts. It's really simple. If you like Jeeps, I like Jeeps. Bam, we're friends. And I'm serious. If you like Jeeps, I like Jeeps, we're friends. If you like chocolate, I like chocolate. Bam, we're friends. We could be friends. You like white chocolate? No. That's not real chocolate. I don't know what your problem is. We cannot be friends, right? But it could be more, and this is where all friendship starts, something in common. But it could be something other than something, a preference, something that we like. It could be an experience in life that you have that other person has, and you have something in common, and you become friends. It could be that you're in the same stage of life. You're like, I got 2 teen kids and a middle schooler, and you're like, I got teen and middle schooler too. We could be friends. Or it could be some similar trait that you have, right? You snort when you laugh, he snorts when he laughs. Bam! Friends, right? Because we like people who are like us. This is where friendship starts, is that we have something in common. Now, some of us are thinking, oh no, I'm never going to make it to 100 because I don't have enough friends, right? What do I do about it? Well, it's not that hard. I mean, in fact, some of us are thinking, I have no friends. I'm not going to die tomorrow, right? No, don't worry about it. You're not going to die yet. What do? Well, you look around your world and you say, who's something I have someone in common with? And start spending some time with them. Remember on that island, they spend time together, they make time, and that builds a relationship. So this is the place to start. Level one friends is about spending time with someone you have something in common with. Jonathan and David, they had something in common. Yeah, it started off that they both should have been king. They had that in common. But let me read you a little bit about Jonathan's story and who he is, and see if you can compare him to David and see what they have in common. Now, if you were with us last week, you'll remember that we're going to back up a little bit in time. Last week we looked at the story of David fighting against Goliath and all like I said, but let's back up just a little bit more. The nation of Israel is at war against the Philistines. Okay? And so King Saul, he's king of Israel. They're fighting against the Philistines. And there's this big battle going on. And so we back up in time, and we're in 1 Samuel chapter 14, verse 1. Hopefully you found it by now, and it says this. One day, Jonathan, son of Saul, so Prince Jonathan, the son of King Saul, one day Jonathan, son of Saul, said to his young armor-bearer, "Come, let's go over to the Philistine outpost on the other side." But he did not tell his father. We're going to go attack them. Don't tell dad, right? So we're going to go. Why? Why did he do this? Well, the Israelites and the Philistines were in war against each other. They were in battle. But the Philistines had a huge leg up. The Philistines had all the blacksmiths, and Israel had none. The Philistines had the guys who could make the weapons, the guys who could make the swords. Israel literally only had 2 swords. How do you win a battle with only 2 swords? You don't. King Saul had one, and Prince Jonathan had the other. And no one else in Israel had any sword. And so Jonathan says, "I'm tired of waiting for Dad. We're not doing anything. Let's go over there. Let's get some swords." So he says to his young armor-bearer, "Come on, let's go against the Philistines. Let's go." And this is this crazy plan. This plan makes no sense at all. But in 1 Samuel 14, verse 8, jumping ahead just a little bit, Jonathan said, "Come on, armor-bearer. Come on then. We, just the 2 of us, we will cross over towards them and let them see us. And if they say to us, 'Wait there until we come down and kill you down there,' we will stay where we are and not go up to them." Verse 10. "But if they say, 'Come on up to us,'" they've got the higher ground. "If they say, 'Come on up to us, we'll kill you once you get to the top of the hill,'" right? "If they say, 'Come on up to us,' then we will climb up, because that will be our sign that the Lord has given them into our hands." This was a crazy plan. This was a crazy, stupid plan, but it worked. They go out to the Philistines, and the Philistines say, "Come on up here, we'll kill you up here." And so Jonathan and his young armor-bearer, they got 1 sword and armor and shield. Okay, they climb up the hill, and they battle these Philistines, and they win. And so they take all their swords and go back down the hill. Woohoo! They won. That's great. This is who Jonathan is. And if you were with us last week, you know who David is. David was the guy who heard about Goliath. Goliath was a Philistine who was mocking Israel, mocking the nation of Israel, saying, "What are you, wimps? You have the men among you. You're all afraid." And you got to understand, Goliath is 9.5 feet tall, nearly 10 feet tall. And he's picking on Israel. He's looking for somebody to fight him, and nobody in all of Israel will fight him. And David shows up, and David says, "Isn't somebody going to do something about it? Someone's got to stop this Goliath. Somebody's got to stop this giant." The giant is saying, "What are you, a bunch of pansies? Come on, none of you don't even have a real God, do you?" And that was it. David said, "We got to do something about it. King Saul, aren't you going to do something?" And no one was going to do anything. And so last week we read the story about how David went out on the battlefield and he fought Goliath and he won. Little tiny David against big old giant Goliath. And all David had was 5 stones and a sling and a shepherd's stick. You know, little Peeps crook, right? Woo! What a stupid idea! But he went out there and he fought the giant and he won. Crazy plan, but it worked. What did Jonathan and David have in common? Well, number 1, they were both crazy, right? They were nuts. But is that really what they had in common? Is that really what they were? Were they really just a couple crazy guys? Well, they may have been a little crazy, but they were also full of faith. And they were positive that their God was big. And they were warriors, and they were full of courage, and they trusted God. And bam, there was a friendship that started. They had something in common. And so Jonathan and David had something in common. They looked at the other one and they said, "I want to be friends with a guy like that." Proverbs 12:26 says, "A righteous man is cautious in friendship. He investigates who his friends are going to be. A righteous man is cautious in friendship, but the way of the wicked leads them astray." So relationships built with something we have in common. You'd be wise to pick who your friends are going to be because it'll affect who you are, right? This level 1 friend is you have something in common with, and level 1 friends are good enough for Facebook, but they're not going to get you to 100 years old. We need something more. Let's move on to level 2. A level 2 friend. A level 2 friend is someone who genuinely cares about you. Who genuinely cares about you. This is a friend who wants the best for you. See, in the level 1 friend, it's all about, I like this, and it's about me. A level 2 friend is, what about you? What's best for you? What can I do for you? A level 2 friend is not, what do I get out of the relationship? What's good for me? A level 2 friend is, what can I do for you? What's best for the other person? What we're talking about is mutual love and support and care for one another. I want us to look at what is probably one of the most powerful verses about friendship in the Bible. In 1 Samuel 18, so we're moving forward another couple of chapters in the story, right? You got to turn your Bible a couple pages over. In 1 Samuel 18, starting in verse 1, it says that after David had finished talking with Saul, so let me make sure we're all on the same page, right? Jonathan had gone up and beaten the Philistines and got the swords and came back down. A little while later, David had the collision with Goliath and he won. David is now won against Goliath, and Saul has invited David to come live in the palace. David had been a shepherd, and now he's going to live in the palace. This is pretty cool. He's moving up in the world. He invites David to come live in the palace. And so David and Jonathan get to know each other, start spending time with each other, and a relationship starts. After David had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. Verse 2. From that day, Saul kept David with him and did not let him return home to his family. And Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. Verse 4. Jonathan took off the robe he was wearing and gave it to David, along with his tunic, and even his sword, his bow, and his belt. So David, after beating Goliath, comes to live in the palace. He and Jonathan get to know each other. They find out they have some stuff in common. A relationship starts, and all that sounds really good. And then we get to these really weird verses. It says that Jonathan starts taking off his clothes. We're like, what? What is going on here? He's taking off his tunic. He's taking off his belt. He's taking off his sword. What's going on? Well, we miss it because we're Americans. We didn't grow up in the Middle East. But what's happening here is Jonathan's robe, his tunic, is representative of his role as prince. He's going to be the next king. And his belt and his sword represent his title. And so Jonathan is saying, I should be the next king, but I give it up for you. And he gives him the tunic and the belt and the sword, saying, you will be the next king, because it's better for you to be the king. See, Jonathan, it's not all about me and what do I get out of this relationship. For Jonathan, it's what can I do for you? Because I care about you and I want what's best for you. And it's a beautiful picture of sacrifice. It's a beautiful illustration of what friendship looks like. It's a beautiful and incredible picture of what it looks like to be a level 2 friend. He says, you'll be a better king than me. He says, I want this for you. I want what's best for you, not what's best for me. Do you have a friend like that in life? Do you have a friend in life that wants what's best for you? Who's willing to sacrifice for you? And a better question for me to ask is, are you the kind of friend who will sacrifice for someone else? See, you and I, we can't control our friends and what they do. And you can say, I just have better friends. You're not responsible for what they do, but you're responsible for what you do. What kind of a friend are you to the people in your life? Do you bring out the best in your friends? Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And no, it's not a sexist verse. We could read it as iron sharpens iron, so one woman sharpens another. Are you the kind of friend that builds up and takes care of and loves sacrificially your friends? Do you sharpen your friends? So level 2 friends are a gift. But let's keep going. Level 3. A level 3 friend is someone who protects. Someone who protects. Write that down in your notes. Level 3 friend is someone who protects. Now, sadly, there are some people who will talk good to you to your face. They'll praise you to your face, but as soon as you turn around, they'll stab you in the back. They'll say something bad about you. And we've all had that kind of experience where we thought, I thought this person was my friend, and then they said, or then they did, and you've been betrayed, and it hurts. I think nearly every single one of us has had that experience. I know I have. But before we judge them too quickly, almost every single one of us have done that to somebody else too, haven't we? I won't ask you to raise your hand and say what you did. But be honest for a second. Sometimes we're not the best friends. But a level 3 friend is someone who protects. A level 3 friend is someone who's got your back. A level 3 friend is someone who you can completely trust. Let's take a look at David and Jonathan again. I'm in 1 Samuel chapter 19, so changing another chapter over, right? 1 Samuel 19, starting in verse 1. It says, Saul told his son Jonathan and all the attendants to kill David. We're like, what? What? Why would you want to kill David? David just beat Goliath. King Saul said, David, come live with us in the palace. You're my new best friend, right? But now Saul has started to realize there's something special about David. And he realizes that God has set David up for something special. And Saul is very insecure. Saul is not going to give up his throne without a fight. And he's very worried that David is going to take over, that David's going to take his spot as king. And so Saul has now said to all the attendants, and even to Jonathan, if you get the chance, kill him. Get rid of him. Because he's afraid for the throne. So again in verse 1, it says, Saul told his son Jonathan and all the attendants to kill David. But Jonathan had taken a great liking to David and warned him, my father Saul is looking for a chance to kill you. Be on your guard tomorrow morning. Go into hiding and stay there. I will go out and stand with my father in the field where you are. I'll speak to him about you and will tell you what I find out. See, Jonathan was the kind of friend that would protect him, even from his own dad. And that takes some guts, right? We need friends that will protect us. Do you have a friend like this? Do you have a friend who will protect you? More likely than not, you will never have a reason for your friend to warn you that there's a death threat out on your life, okay? I mean, really. Your friend will probably never have to warn you that there's a bounty out on your head. But if you have a good friend who will protect you, you know what they'll protect you from? They'll protect you from yourself. That good friend, that level 3 friend, is the kind of person who can come to you and say, Matthew, I love you. But do you realize how you hurt that person? A level 3 friend is someone who can show you where you come short. Matthew, I love you, but do you realize what happened when you said? Matthew, I love you, but do you recognize what you've done? See, most of us won't let anybody in that close. This is where most of us draw the line. Most of us have a lot of level 1 friends, not too hard to make. And some of us have some level 2 friends. But most of us, when it gets to level 3 friend, we say, no. Just tell me good news. Just tell me good things. Just tell me what I want to hear. But a level 3 friend is someone you trust enough that you'll let them into your world, into the private parts of your world, and you allow them to say the hard things to you. In fact, some of us, when people begin to be level 3 friends and they say hard things to us, some of us run away. Some of us say, I don't want to hear it, and we walk away from those friendships. But we need these kind of people in our lives. We need people who love us, and they love us so much they're willing to protect us by telling us the truth. With love, of course. We need people who can tell us the hard truth. Proverbs 27 verse 6 says, wounds from a friend can be trusted. So it hurts, no doubt, when they say things that you need to hear. But it's beneficial. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. Just kisses up. Just tells you the good stuff. Just tells you what you want to hear. That's not a friend, that's an enemy. That's a suck-up. You don't need suck-ups. You need real friends. We need real friends. It takes real courage to let people in that close. And it takes real courage to tell your friend the truth sometimes. In my years of being a pastor and doing marital counseling, one of the things that breaks my heart all the time is I realize how often husbands and wives won't allow that their spouse to be a level 3 friend. There are so many times that I look at couples and I realize they have got the wall up right here at level 3. They won't let their spouse be a level 3 friend. It breaks my heart. We need level 3 friends. And if you're married, one of those people in your life could be and should be your spouse. You need to be able to let them in that close. And they need to let you in that close. Can I also say one other thing while I'm a little bit off topic here? It breaks my heart when I find a husband and wife, and the husband has found a different friend to be his level 3 friend, and it's a lady who's not his wife. See, guys, we cannot allow another woman to be a level 3 friend if we're married. Guys, if you're married, your bride can be the only level 3 female in your life. Women, the same is true. Ladies, you cannot allow another man besides your husband to be your level 3 friend, to be that close. Because if you allow another man to be that close, you will destroy your marriage. You will damage it. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. We need to have the courage to find and be people who will give accountability. We need to allow friendship to reach into places that sometimes are a little tender. These people in our lives are a real treasure. If you have them, if you have someone like this, you're better off than half the population. But let's keep going. There's a level 4 friend, and we need to have a level 4 friend. A level 4 friend is someone who will walk with you in suffering. Level 4 friends will walk with you when things get bad. When you are we've been talking about the roller coaster ride that David's on, when you hit those down parts, when you hit those valleys, you need this person to stay with you. This is the apex of friendship. This is the one who stick with you when things get really hairy, when things get really ugly. These are the people who will stick with you through the hardest parts of life. They're the ones who will stick with you when you've made a huge mistake. They're the ones who will stick with you when you've run out of money. They're the ones who will stay with you when you go through a divorce. They're the friends who will go with you when you are questioning your faith. These are the friends who will stick with you when you're given a huge blow. And we need people like this. In our story, David is going through one of these huge, deep valleys in life, one of these places that really hurts. David is in a difficult season when he was running from King Saul. He's running for his life. And this didn't go on just for a day or two. This went on for months, and months became years. David is running for his life. He's going from one place to another, hiding, trying to stay away from Saul, who wants to kill him. David had gone from being a national hero. He beat Goliath. And now he's on the most wanted list. He's the guy that the king wants to kill. He's in hiding, and he turns to Jonathan for help. 1 Samuel chapter 20. We're moving up to chapter 20. Someone's like, Pastor Matthew, you're moving too fast. The life of David is 60 chapters long. We're not going to have time to look at every single chapter and verse, but I would encourage you to read the story of David's life. It's in 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 20, David's in hiding. He turns to Jonathan for help. And in verse 1 it says, Then David fled from Naioth at Ramah and went to Jonathan and asked, What have I done? What is my crime? How have I wronged your father that he is trying to kill me? Never, replied Jonathan. I'm not going to let him kill you. You are not going to die. Look, my father doesn't do anything great or small without letting me know. Why would he hide this from me? It isn't so. He's not going to kill you. Verse 3. But David took an oath and said, Your father knows very well that I have found favor in your eyes. And he has said to himself, Jonathan must not know this, or he will be grieved. Yet surely as the Lord lives, and as you live, there is only a step between me and death. David's positive he's going to die. David is positive that Saul's going to catch up with him. Verse 4, And Jonathan said to David, Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it for you. And do you hear Jonathan's heart breaking for his friend David? I'm broken for you. I'm hurting for you. Here you are running, but I'm not going to leave you. I'll do whatever you need me to do. I'm here for you. And Jonathan's willing to put himself at risk. He's willing to put his friendship, his relationship with his dad at risk. He's willing to put himself at risk for his friend. And he makes it possible for David to get away to safety. We all need friends like that. We need friends who will take care of us. 1 Samuel chapter 23. So we're going from chapter 20 to 23. See, this hiding stuff didn't go on just for a couple of minutes. It went on for months, which became years. David is still running for his life. It's a dark time for David. And in verse 15, it says that while David was at Horish in the desert of Ziph, and you know where that is, right? Yeah, of course you do. Okay, so what you need to know is David is hiding. David has been moving from place to place to place to place, just trying to stay one step ahead of King Saul, who wants to kill him. David is positive that he's going to be killed. And while David was in hiding at Horish in the desert of Ziph, he learned that Saul had come out to take his life. And Saul's son Jonathan went to David at Horish, and he helped him find strength in God. And if you're in your own Bible, I would encourage you to underline those words. Find strength in God. He helped him find strength in God. Jonathan was there for David in his time of need. Jonathan was there for David, and he encouraged David, and he helped David keep his focus on God. When you got all sorts of circumstances going on, when all sorts of things hurt, it's really easy to take your eyes off of God. But a level 4 friend will help you focus on God. And he walked with David through David's suffering. Verse 17. Don't be afraid, he said. My father Saul will not lay a hand on you. You will be king over Israel. Jonathan says, remember what God said? And if you were with us last week, you remember, God chose David to be the next king. Jonathan's reminding David of what David has said. I don't care what the circumstances look like. What I know, what God has said, is that you will be the next king. Don't be afraid, he said. My father Saul will not lay a hand on you. You will be king over Israel. And I will be second to you. I'll be your number 2 in command. Even my father Saul knows this. And the 2 of them made a covenant before the Lord. And then Jonathan went home, but David remained in Horsh. So Jonathan reminds David of what God has said. When the circumstances are bad, we often need someone else to remind us of what God has actually said. And this is what level 4 friends do. They're with us through the hard spots and the horrible spots and the suffering spots of life. And they remind us that God is still in charge. They remind us of what God has actually said. They bring us back to the Bible. They bring us back to Scripture. They say, this is the circumstances, but this is what God has said. This is what we need to do. They get us focused on Jesus. This is what a level 4 friend does. Do you have a friend like that? Do you have a friend that gets you focused back on Jesus when you're off track, when you're looking at something else, when you're caught up in something else? Do you have someone who will bring you back on track? And better yet, are you the kind of friend who helps other people hold on tightly to Jesus? Are you the kind of friend that helps other people keep their eyes on God? These friendships are important. These friendships are really important. These friendships are the ones that will make us live to 100. And these friendships are the ones that will affect how we live every single day of our lives. And this was the last time that David and Jonathan saw each other. They had this big plan that Jonathan would be his number 2, that David would become king, and Jonathan would be his number 2, and they would lead the nation of Israel together. But after Jonathan left David's in hiding, Jonathan goes home, Jonathan ends up dying in battle. These 2 friends never see each other again. It was at this point that David lost his level 4 friend. And as we look over the next couple of weeks, as we look at David's life, the ups and downs, we'll find that there were the downs that happened to David. Was David responsible for the king coming after him? No. There are things that just happen in life that we can't control. But there are other mistakes that have bad things that happen in life that are in our control, that we cause to happen. It's from this point forward that the bad things that happen to David are because David makes a bad choice. He no longer has Jonathan. He no longer has a friend who keeps his eyes focused on God. It's at this point that David begins making bad choices because he doesn't have a level 4 friend. You and I, we need a level 4 friend in our life. Someone who keeps us attached to God. We need a level 4 friend. The better question is, are you one for someone else? Are you? Proverbs 18, verse 24 says, a man of many companions, a man of many level 1 friends, may come to ruin. But there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. What we need is a level 4 friend. You need a level 4 friend. And so do I. The Bible also tells us, and this verse is also talking about not just a friend with skin on, but we also need that relationship with God. We were built for relationships with people and with God. And this verse is also talking about how we need to have a relationship with God because He's the one who sticks closer than a brother. He's the one that will never leave us or forsake us. He's the one that will never walk away from us no matter what's going on in life. Is God a level 4 friend for you? Is God someone you rely on? Is God someone you run to? Is He someone that you hold on to? Is He in your life that sticks closer than a brother? See, as we've been talking about friendships and stuff, the ultimate example of a friend is not necessarily David and Jonathan. The ultimate example of what friendship and love and sacrifice looks like is Jesus Christ and what he did on the cross. Jesus came into our world with one purpose: to pay the price for your sins and for mine, my mistakes and yours, so we can have a right relationship with God now, and have a full life now, and move on into the next life with God. That's why Jesus died on the cross, to pay the price for our sins, to make things right between us and him, so we could know him, so we could be forgiven, so we could be adopted into his family. And he promises never to leave us and never to forsake us. Ultimately, he is the ultimate example. Jesus is the ultimate example of what a level 4 friend looks like. Jesus is the one that will stick closer than a brother. Which is good news for many of us, because some of us look around our lives. In fact, the stats show that at least half of us don't have a level 3 friend or a level 4 friend. And so we need to hold on tightly to Jesus. Now, you need both these relationships in your life. You need someone, you need a friend with skin on, and you need a relationship with Jesus. In fact, one of the main ways that God shows his great love for us on a daily basis, and one of the main ways God speaks to us on a daily basis, is through other people. You need a level 4 friend. Let me have you do this real quick. Will you do a friendship audit? Will you think about your friends? Grab your pen, and you've got your bulletin, and I want you to start writing the names of friends on your bulletin, or maybe you just make little hashtags. Who are the names of some level 1 friends you've got? Go ahead, write down their names. Or maybe you got a lot, you're just like, I'm a hashtagging it. Let's see, on Facebook I've got 725 friends, so I'll just make 725. I don't know. But now go a little bit further. How many level 2 friends do you have? Remember, level 1 friend is about, what do we have in common? I like you, I get something out of this. But a level 2 friend is someone who you love regardless. And it's not about what you get out of it, it's you loving them. Who are your level 2 friends? And what about your level 3 friends? Put their names down. If you can come up with a level 3 friend, that's fantastic. That is a gift from God. And what about a level 4 friend? Someone who keeps you firmly attached to Jesus. Who do you have? If you have a level 4 friend, then tell God thanks. Praise Jesus! I say it funny, but it's not funny. If you have a level 4 friend, tell God thank you. It is a gift. But what if you don't have a level 4 friend? What do? Well, then it's time to be one. It's time to make one. It's time to have a level 4 friend. See, the funny thing is a lot of times we think friendships are for kids. Remember when you were a little kid and it was like recess time, and you went out on the playground, like, you're my new friend, and you're my new friend, and you're my new friend, let's go play. And it was easy. And now that we're all grown up, we're like, friendships are for kids. In fact, most of us don't have a lot of friends. We laughed earlier, but the average guy has 2/3 of a friend. Most of us need friendships. So if you don't have a friendship, if you don't have a level 4 friend, where do you do? Where do you start? Well, first, you ask God for a Jonathan. You go to God and you pray and say, God, I need somebody. I can't go through life alone anymore. I'm not going to do life this way anymore. I want to live to be 100, and I want my days, no matter how many they are or how few they are, I want my days to be good ones. And so we need to go to God and ask for a Jonathan. And then number 2, your second step is you need to jump into a life group. Earlier we joked and we laughed about singing the live group song, the small group song, the YMCA song. But it's about building relationships with people, helping other people grow in their relationship with God and them helping you. It's about being connected. It's about knowing each other, not just being level 1 friends, but letting friendships grow and see what God can do with that. It's about sharpening each other, encouraging each other, taking care of each other. Life groups are crucial. See, you get into a life group and then you look around in that group and you say, who's someone here who I have something in common with? Bam! Friends. And then you make time for them. And you see where that friendship goes. You can do this. Every single one of us can do it. We used to do it when we were little kids. And as adults, we still need to do it. I don't care what age you are, you need friends. We need friends. And lastly, if you're not positive Jesus Christ is your friend who's got your back, you need to make friends with him. Let me pray for us. Go ahead and close your Bibles. Go ahead and put away your notes. Go ahead and put away your pens, your phone, whatever you got. Close your eyes and give God your full attention. God, we thank you for this morning, and we thank you for the chance this morning to sing worship songs to you. We thank you for the chance to come together and be together. We thank you for this church. We thank you for our church family. God, we thank you for the folks that have been here week after week and for the folks who are here for the very first time. God, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for the story of David and Jonathan and their friendship and what you did there. And God, we want what they had. We want level 4 friends, and we want to be level 4 friends. Now, folks, right now, in the quietness in your heart, if you have a level 4 friend, tell God thanks. That's a gift from Him. So right now, in the quietness of your heart, you pray and you tell God thank you.